Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. I'm Tim, joined this week by Craig. How's it going, Craig?
Not too bad, Tim. Nice to be back.
Yeah, and back featuring a list we've had a lot of requests for too. I'm playing some Circle. This is pre-CID Circle. I'm playing Kromac2. The theme force is Call of the Wild. So I'm playing Kromac with Feral. I've got a Pureblood. I've got two Scarsfell Griffons. His character beast Ghetorix. And a Warpwolf Stalker for that ever-present Sprint Animus. My free cards are 2 units of Shifting Stones, and then I have a Blackclad Wayfarer and a Druid Wilder, the Druid Gone Wilder sculpt. And Craig, as I mentioned already, you're playing something we've had a lot of requests for. What'd you bring this week?
So I brought the new Legion caster Ammok the Doomfeaster in Primal Terrors.
Yeah, so Primal Terrors we've had a ton of requests for, both Anamag and Callus and a bunch of the other options for it. We're going to try to feature this theme force at least a handful of times in the next couple of months because, as I say, it's been a hotly anticipated one. It's definitely part of the new meta, and I think it was a force at the WTC this year, so we're excited to show it off. Do you want to talk about what's in your list specifically?
Sure. For a bit of a change from what people are talking about with Anamag, I decided to try a build out with Anamag herself with a battle group of a Blightbringer, Ammok the Truthbearer, and a maximum unit of Chosen, a maximum unit of Warmongers with Gorag Rotteneye, a minimum unit of Warmongers, a Warmonger War Chief, and a maximum unit of War Spears with their unit attachment, the War Spear Chieftain.
Yeah, right up until you got to the War Spears, that didn't sound like a particularly unusual build, but the War Spears are definitely, I guess, a sort of a more hotly contested choice in the list.
Yeah.
They have incredible damage output, especially against their prey target, but they're not cheap, so they're good pieces. We'll have to see how they perform.
They're also a little bit delicate.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I think in general the ogres don't like seeing things like guns across the board.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well we're gonna jump right into it.
All right, so just going to deployment here. We rolled off, and I lost the roll, and Tim opted to choose the side, and so I'm taking first round.
Yeah, it doesn't often happen that I lose the die roll and choose to go second. I think one of the things that's really interesting about Primal Terrors is it's just a list that's so incredible at going second. More than almost any other list in the game, the plus 2 inches of deployment, the distant deployment in Hellmouths, just the amount that it can capitalize. I feel like it can play a really defensive game, just kind of clear zones and score points.
Yeah, so everything's sort of just bunching up centrally here. We have a obstruction in the middle there that's going to sort of funnel my 2 units of Mongers around them, and we're deploying my War Spears at the bottom there because I'm expecting to get some value out of Relentless Charge across that unit of rubble on the bottom zone.
Yeah, I guess we should talk quickly a little bit about terrain here. This is the new sort of Bloodstone terrain set that Ian put together for us. There's 3 sort of larger obstruction pieces. There is a forest. This sort of terrain set is supposed to be kind of a really flexible, really universal terrain set. It's got a number of those kind of patterned pieces, like of sand. And then on one of them, we've got a couple of small obstruction-looking pieces to make it rubble. On the one up at the top, we've got a couple of sort of spiky bone pieces to make it a forest, a sort of forest of bones. And then we've also got a lovely little congealing tar pit with air, which is the desert equivalent of water in this set. And there's also a couple of walls also made out of those neat bone pieces. So he's got, I think, kind of burning earth pieces to put on top of those and a couple of other options. So we'll be seeing this set, I imagine, a few times in the coming months. Scenario is Invasion?
Yes.
Yeah. Invasion's a pretty cool scenario. So I deploy fairly centrally. I put the Griffons off on one flank. They're hoping to make use of their tracker ability behind that forest to be able to charge through it at pieces that come into play. I've got the Pureblood on the bottom side here. Its spray gets to ignore that rubble, so and the wall back there, so that may be relevant. I'm not totally sure how I'm going to handle the Hellmouths. That's going to be a bit of a problem for this list. But I've always got, trade pieces until late game Kromac becomes a real chore, so that's what I'm doing there. I do make a little bit of an error here. I deploy 2 units of Shifting Stones. I forgot for some reason that this list doesn't actually have a UA on that unit of stones. So I deploy the UA. We catch it on the first turn, I think, and we just pull the model off the table. So
yeah,
no harm, no foul, I guess.
So first turn, what my only goal here is to take up as much board as possible. He's playing Circle, so he doesn't have any guns other than the Pureblood spray, essentially. So I just want to be as aggressive as humanly possible with my list. So Blightbringer is going to move up through the pocket where it actually probably can't move out for the rest of the game.
This is its home now.
And then we throw Bond of Gristle and Bone up on the Chosen, who are going to sort of just go up the center of the board because their job is to take way more attacks than they have any right to take. And also just do damage to whatever they need to do damage to.
Yeah, they tarp it really effectively. And they threaten pieces too. Like, they're the kind of unit that you can't afford to ignore, but really you're going to end up overcommitting to the amount of damage you need to do to them. Yeah. You did Dragon's Blood, I think, with the Blightbringer this turn?
Yeah, because I need them to sort of have a decent armor stat. I don't think you can get me, but I don't want to risk it.
Well, they're up at the comfortable armor stat of 21 right now, so I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, and with no Gallows Grove around, I can actually get some benefit out of rapid healing.
I think it's probably worth pointing out that we both took Stockpile as objective.
Yeah.
So that's the healing-based objective. And again, in that theme of just covering as much board space as possible, those calamari tentacles just up there being obnoxious.
Yeah, so there's not really good answers to the Hellmouth in either zone currently. He has to commit like an actual heavy to kill them, and at that point I will take them with like 2 spears-ish, give or take, if I can get all the buffs on them.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Not my favorite circumstance to be experiencing. That forest that I want to kind of hide behind. Again, this is the disadvantage, of course, of going second, is that, you know, Craig is going to capitalize on the advantage he has and steal as much board as possible. Having said that, I do think it really does pin him in a little bit, the number of obstructions on his side of the board, so I think he's making some choices.
Yeah, so Rottenized units sort of all being funneled into that side there. And then the min unit is sort of at the top.
So we run a bird up, keep it out of range of the Hellmouth Maw. That's far enough that, you know, if he walks far enough to have melee range to it with a tentacle, that tentacle will be removed because it'll be out of formation. They no longer can exist out of formation, so that's pretty cool. I go to move a tree and I accidentally move the Hellmouth tentacle instead, so we kind of correct that as best we can. Bird over here. They both cast the Elusive Animus. This one casts Elusive and charges. Just fails a charge at the Warmonger at the back there. The Anamag costs are reduced by 1 in this theme force, so they're both casting Elusive for free. Some nice efficiency, and I'm hoping, you know, Craig tries to take a greedy grab at one of them with a Hellmouth Maw, and it just gets to dodge away. Cost him an activation, maybe. Pureblood's going to go next. I debate a couple of things with the Pureblood, and ultimately I decide that I'm going to take a spray and maybe kill 2 tentacles. If I can get Craig down to 1 tentacle available, then that sort of really restricts what he can do with them next turn in terms of jamming my pieces. I miss 1, and I don't do enough damage to kill the other one, rolling a 1. So that's not that exciting. The Stalker opts to charge 1 and kills it, casting Lightning Strike for free and dodging back.
Looking up the stats on the
yeah,
attack here.
Just confirming that it's automatic. It is, in fact. And the Stalker with Sprint dodges back over to the Shifting Stones. It's in the slightly larger stone over there, the further forward one. I think this is about the point where we catch the UA on the stone unit. Pull him up.
Teleports outside of the board.
That's right, and he's gone. Kromac himself casts Awakened Spirit, and he casts Vengeful. Casts Awakened Spirit on the Feral. The Feral also warps for armor and just runs up behind that obstruction. Feral's going to end up being kind of a key late game piece because I don't want to lose access to that Primal Animus, so I'm going to keep him out of everything that I think might kill him and try to piece trade other things. The Gnarlhorn has access to Earth's Blessing, which is really key against the Hellmouths and also against Gallows, so it might be something that ends up being relevant. Ghetorix just cast Spiny Growth, again for free because of the theme benefit, and he walked up into the Stone Aura. And then the Gnarlhorn does something similar. He walks up, casts Earth Blessing, also for free. The amount of Fury efficiency in this list for just the discount and Anamag is really nice. I think, in fact, so nice that I end up not putting enough Fury on the board. I think Kromac at this point is on 3, and I've put out maybe 2, so I'm going to have to actually cut So I'm like, oh, look at how Fury efficient I can be. This Wilder can go up and can remove Fury, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why would I remove Fury? This is a problem. So the Blackclad walks up and he goes to within 16 of the Blightbringer, just threatening that Hunter's Mark. And the last thing that happens is Ghetorix gets teleported by the stones into range to potentially charge the Blightbringer next turn. So I'm in for 2 chosen, but not for the other 2. So I'm just, if Craig wants to send 2 chosen in to try to kill Ghetorix, I feel like it's a little bit of a tall order.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a Spellmard in this list either, so my Gallows vectors are severely reduced. So one thing I'm sort of evaluating at this point is if I can pull Ghetorix in an inch or 2, because I think if I can get Ghetorix forward another inch, then I get another 1 or 2 chosen on him. It becomes much easier to seal the deal, so to speak.
Again, the talk, CID-wise, is the Ghetorix will get rapid healing. And if he does, Anamag still has a feat to turn that off, but it puts him in a much scarier position.
Yeah, feeding to kill a Ghetorix is probably less great than feeding to kill 3 heavies.
Yeah, but it's nice to kill him. I mean, he's definitely an armor-cracking piece in the list, and he's standing there looking all menacingly at the Blightbringer.
It's true. So that would have been a consideration. I'm debating on whether or not I should feat this turn. I've got some pieces in threat range here. We got a couple potential charges on the goat in the top zone, the Gnarlhorn. I can potentially take a bird on a trip over to the Hellmouth over there. I do need to hit a Carnage 7, which isn't super likely, and as soon as I miss an attack, it's just completely out the window. So that's not a great odds.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, you got a bird for nothing.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of evaluating some lines of play here. That's my Gallows vector for pulling that, but as you point out here, that he'd bump into the objective if I pulled him in that.
Yeah, that objective, saving Ghetorix.
Because he can advance through them, but can't be pushed through them?
Correct, yeah, it's basically like Tactician.
Okay.
It's Tactician, but not Tactician. I'm
also seeing if I can get any spears on a Ghetorix. If I can get a couple of them, then that's not bad.
Yeah, because the Pureblood's the prey target.
Mm-hmm.
But Ghetorix is, he still doesn't like to eat a bunch of POW 13s or 15s or whatever they end up being.
Yeah. I can probably get Fury Strength on them if I want to try that hard to do so. It winds up being kind of awkward distance-wise and specifically line of sight. But it could happen. But I think the plan is we could throw in as much as we can onto Ghetorix, and we throw some damage into the goat. And more importantly, I'm going to make that goat give me Vengeance and Gorax unit.
That's right.
Just basically, I think that's the plan for the top zone. If I get a bird, fantastic, I get a bird. But the basic idea here is throw a guy in the Gnarlhorn's face and then try to just chip as much away from Ghetorix as I can.
Yeah, which I think could make quite a difference.
Yeah, well, Ghetorix can heal a decent amount, but he doesn't necessarily want to take up that many resources.
Right, and I mean, if I'm using my objective to heal him, and I'm using his force to regenerate, I mean, that's one less attack he has. I also maybe would have to back him off to get, healing from the stones. So it's a 2-turn plan, but it's a good 2-turn plan.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I'm sort of not visible here is I'm sort of spending a lot of time sort of evaluating all the different lines of play I have here, so I am down on clock right now.
Yeah, I think it's about a 10-minute deficit.
Approximately, yeah.
Yeah, with the way the camera setup is this week, folks, I'm afraid you won't be able to see the clock or a little bit of the top half of the board. Our studio space was fairly crowded today, trying to accomplish a lot of things, so we're working with what we got table-wise.
I'll try to avoid making it super exciting up there.
Don't worry, it's the key portion of the board, that little top 2 inches. All right, we get to see Craig leaning right in here, going for the shot.
Yeah.
I think one of the lines of play you anticipate here, or at least you contemplate, is just having the Blightbringer throw down a Strength Aura, and then having some failed charge assaults into the Pureblood, who's the prey, and that's some dice even shots on him. I think you get 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah, but they need a 7 to hit approximately, which is going to be tough.
So if they needed 6s, it's a lot better. So I think you debate trying to run the Chieftain over, but he's not quite in good range. Again, I think the way the terrain was set up on your side of the board, and I can't claim any credit for that because you set up the board, but I think that the terrain really punished you.
Yeah. Important to note that if I had the other side of the board, then this game would play much differently for me.
Indeed, yes.
So just still working through the angles here, and sort of being super careful about where everything is and like where everything goes.
Yep.
Is the idea here. So I'm just being extremely meticulous.
Too meticulous, you might say?
Yeah. I would definitely say that I spent way too much time evaluating options here, but I wanted to make sure that the turn I had here was a good one.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems with Anamag is that she has a ton of options. Like, there's an enormous amount of things she can do, and there's always this this kind of equilibrium point where, is the Blightbringer doing too much? Is the Blightbringer not doing enough? Like, do I want to go to 5 to make that last critical attack and risk not being able to have a transfer target?
Yeah.
And again, in the One Beast battle group, like, there's situations where she has to cut for a couple to get back to for full stack.
Yeah.
She's a pretty durable caster, but nobody likes, losing 5 or 6 boxes in the first handful of turns.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do here is just try to move the Blightbringer up. I'm going to try to shave off as much of Ghetorix as I can.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great call here.
Take a shot at Ghetorix. The blast actually hits quite a few things, which is sort of awkward.
Mm-hmm. It's going to hit Kromac and the Stalker. I am going to boost damage and hit on Ghetorix. I wound up doing a pretty significant chunk of damage to him.
Yeah, no, it's pretty big. I think he takes 8.
Yeah, something approximate.
And he's armed 19 right now, so like, your dice minus 4, rolling 8's a 12. Like, that's a little bit of a spike.
Yeah, the Stalker also takes a significant amount of damage here, like a good 6 damage or so.
Yeah, which is really good because he's only armor 17 right now, but still, like, power strength 8.
Yeah, and then with my last Fury, I used the Blightbringer's Boiling Blood Animus on myself,
which is that's pretty big. We'll cover that more later, but it ends up being, I think, really relevant. So Boiling Blood's a weird animus because it's an auto-hitting spray that's power 10 that causes fire every time something hits you. So it's like little pustules of noxious gas.
But essentially,
which I think is really themey because he's just a big gross dude.
Yeah. The idea is if I can get the Ghetorix down to like 1 or 2 boxes in each column, he runs the risk of potentially poking out an aspect with Boiling Blood.
Yeah, it's adorable. I like it.
So at this point, I'm going to charge the goat with the couple man. They're going to just do a bit of damage. I don't think I have Fury Strength on anybody except for the 1 unit of Chosen right now. And I think the nobody has Boiling Blood. Nobody has any spells right now because Anamag has not gone. So
yeah, it's you upkeep Bond of Gristle and Bone.
Yeah, so I'm just going to put some damage into the goat. Counter Slam is something I want to keep turned off as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. You engaged him with the first charge over there, so you're set.
Yeah, and also the Hellmouth Tentacle.
Yeah.
So he's fine, but
redundant Counter Slam countering.
Yeah, but at this point, the goat now has to proc Vengeance on that unit.
Yeah, and you've layered them well, so you've got like Gorag at the back with a couple of friends, and then up front here he's got 2 buddies, so like...
The Gorag also has line of sight to the space directly in front of the Hellmouth, which is
key,
potentially valuable.
Yep, no, it's a little debuff, buddy. He's pretty great. His glittering face, his shiny eye, creepy pirate ogre.
So I'm gonna start hucking some spears here with my war spears.
Yeah, we measure a couple of war spear vectors. I mean, there's some stuff that might jam them up and that sort of thing, but I think just access to a little bit more ranged damage potential means instead of this turn being, an all melee army staring down an all melee army and being like, okay, I'll wait a turn before I do anything relevant, you're like, maybe I'll just punish you with the damage potential I have access to.
Yeah. Potentially I could have had Prey over to Ghetorix to start with, but he was deployed off to the other side, so I figured it's just safe to keep the Pureblood honest.
Right. And the Pureblood did have to play a little bit more conservatively because of it.
Yeah, so Anamag is now going to chuck out Fury Strength on the minimum unit of Warmongers and the Chosen. But I'm not going to feat this turn, because I don't get enough into the feat that
so greedy.
Would potentially...
You're like, I don't, this isn't a good enough feat. I need a better feat. It's a really, really, really strong feat, so it's cool to be greedy with it.
It gets better the longer the game lasts.
As long as your pieces are alive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, if I just run my army up in a big line to you and say, would you like to charge me with everything? That's the best possible feat. But hopefully I don't do that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So here's the Hellmouth, just moving up. Carnage is up, so...
Yeah, she casts Carnage, too. So a couple of Furious Strength and a Carnage.
So,
she's down to 1?
Yeah.
Aha.
So at this point, I'm going to try to hit the bird, and I need a 7. And I do actually land the super greedy 7 here.
Yeah, no, that's... I mean, like, it doesn't really cost you anything, is the thing, so...
Yeah, either that or you dodge in, which means you get attacked by another Hellmouth tentacle, or you dodge out, in which case you're out of threat. So I'll take it either way.
Yeah, Dice Minus 3, you do a median amount of damage to it. We checked the lane before measuring this. Like, no matter what happens here, if I hyper-aggressive or not, you're still going to be able to drag me in, so it doesn't make a difference. You end up gripping me, I hyper-aggressive forward, and then you drag me all the way in. That changes the vector only marginally, because hyper-aggressive is directly toward.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have, like, a cute line of play where I'd be like, oh, I'm going to use my movement to tuck in against this other thing. It's just...
Yeah.
It's good against gun lines that want 2 turns of shooting against you, and it's good if you need to turn to face to proc Vengeful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Field Marshal Hyper-Aggressive is one of the less attractive Field Marshals.
Yeah. So not pictured here is the bird getting beat up by the Hellmouth Maw a bit.
It's pictured-ish. You can see it in the very top of the frame.
Yeah, and then I'm going to charge the bird with the remaining, this minimum unit Warmongers here, and pretty much wipe it out with...
Their food came to them. Yeah,
so,
it's not ideal.
Yeah.
So you hit with the charge attack. Again, you're in Gorag Rotten Eyes Aura, so that bird is down to defense 13. It's in Carnage, so you're at 8, and then you've got Powerful Charge.
Yeah, so
I'm at 10, so you're like, oh, I rolled a 3. That still hits. Primal Terrors is very good at hitting things. And Anamag's pretty good at damaging things, so it's an appealing combination.
Yeah.
It's a dead bird, and he's out of range to leech from, but that's fine.
So I took a free bird, which is nice.
Yeah. It cost you a little bit of positioning this turn and casting Carnage, which you were probably going to do anyway.
Yeah, because I don't want to leave Ghetorix a chance at this point.
Yeah, and there goes half my plan for dealing with that Hellmouth, which is not ideal. So we check a couple of measurements for assault shots, and the War Spears are off assaulting. Again, that Tactics Relentless Charge really helping him out because, getting right into that rubble, not worrying about anything. Like, we got 2 spears who assaulted their prey target, the Pureblood, and we got 1 who assaulted Ghetorix, and the rest of the guys in the unit just sort of run back and hang out doing their thing.
Mm-hmm. So, like, they hit the prey target fairly reliably with the needing... Well, not fairly reliably. It's a coin flip. It's 7s.
50% of the time works every time.
Yeah, so naturally I hit every single attack against the prey target. You opt to hyper-aggressive forward, but not into the Hellmouth, because I have not activated that Hellmouth unit this turn.
Yeah, you're like, I haven't actually activated the Hellmouth yet. And I'm like, fuck, stupid Hellmouth. All right, well, I'm going to go to 11.7 something. And then you lob your shot at Ghetorix, which misses, and now Ghetorix is in a position to take 2 charge attacks from Chosen.
Yeah. So he's taking a bit of damage from the Hellmouth, or not the Hellmouth, the Blightbringer.
More than a bit, like quite a bit.
Yeah, like a good 8 damage, approximately. So I need to get a bit of a spike here, but I can probably leave him dead. I'm looking at vectors here for impact attacks, but none are sort of forthcoming.
So just to do the math, you can get into the Blightbringer aura that you dropped on top of Ghetorix.
Yeah.
So your POW strength 13 with brutal charge goes to 15. With Blightbringer aura goes to 17. With furious strength goes to 19.
Yeah.
So your dice even against Ghetorix, and he's at 22 boxes. So you're looking to do 2 11s.
Yeah.
That's about right.
A mistake here I made is that I could have moved filled in that gap between the 2 Chosen there with the 3rd Chosen. And that might have been a bit safer for me to play, but I thought that Ghetorix was not long for this world.
Like, you mean like a 3rd charge attack on him?
No, just in between the 2 Chosen in the middle of the board there. Put a 3rd one in, so if you want to get in on the Blightbringer, you have to kill 2 or 3 Chosen.
Okay. Seems fair.
But either way, so we're going to put some damage to Ghetorix. He took a bunch from the first charge attack. You vengeful attack on him.
Yeah, hit that man back. Whack.
Did some damage, and I peel back also some of that damage. So we're just going to make another charge attack, and Ghetorix is on, 4 boxes at this point.
I think it's actually 2.
Yeah, he's almost dead. If I had feated this turn, he would have definitely went down.
I mean, after the initial somewhat spike with the Blightbringer, which even then wasn't outrageous, you're still, like, you're within average dice to kill him. I think it's probably right to not defeat it here.
Yeah. So just move in a bit more, make it so that Kromac has to do something in order to make the next turn sort of happen.
Oh, Kromac's going to do something. You wait. This is his jam.
So Ghetorix heals from the objective.
He does, yes. So now he's at 4 boxes. Objective got him back and running. Got cleared 2 damaged aspects. On the plus side, if you defeated here, I mean, not only would you have actually killed Ghetorix, but you would have Grievoused him, so he would not have been able to heal there.
Yeah. Which might have been a bit different of a play. I feel like I wanted to keep the feat for another...
Yeah, saving the feat's not a totally unreasonable thought. So we're going to activate the stone unit next. Kromac's in the stones, so they're just going to activate and port him on up. He's going to go on the back arc of 2 Chosen, and then the melee range of another one. He's wielding Wrathrock, which has Grievous Wounds, which is pretty dope, especially against Chosen, because if you tag a bunch of Chosen with Grievous Wounds, they can't heal. And that turns off rapid healing and tough.
So that's primarily their best defensive tech. There's, like, armor fairly high at this point, but...
Yeah, 21's not nothing.
And 8 boxes.
Yeah, 8 boxes is a big deal.
So, like, here's the thing about the Chosen taking a disproportionate amount of effort to take down. So we defeated Kromac going in on them, and he's wiping them out.
Yeah, Kromac pops feet, sends him to power strength 19, and puts him to arm 20, which is nice. He still has to play a little bit careful. Again, there's a lot of things staring him down, and he really wants to just do a lot of work. He's killing Chosen here, buying attacks on him, boosting where appropriate. Just kind of like gets a little bit of chip damage, buys another attack, puts some more damage into them. Because they're not toughing, I'm just going for raw damage efficiency. And he's collecting corpses as he kills them. So he's got 2 corpses, and he still has 3 fury. Kills the last one, and he'll cast Lightning Strike, which is the Warpwolf Stalker's Animus, for sprint. And he'll sprint just back behind the back of the zone. Still playing a pretty conservative game, trying to stay real safe. I'm on 2 corpses, and I'm on 2 focus. Or fury, should I say. So what's next? We're going to walk up with the Druid. He's going to toe into the zone, and Hunter's Mark the Blightbringer. Hunter's Mark goes off without a hitch. And I'm like, sweet, Ghetorix, let's kill this Blightbringer. Let's do it, boy. I debate a couple of things here. One of them is I debate trying to charge the Stalker and kill another Chosen. I debate trying to send the Feral in to do some work. The way the Feral's facing right now, he can't quite see Ghetorix, which is just kind of bad positioning on my part because he could have been facing a little bit differently. If he'd been facing so that he could cast Primal on Ghetorix first, he could then walk into that zone and maybe like kill a Hellmouth Tentacle or maybe remove one of the Mongers that's tying up the Goat. Instead, I'm going to activate the Goat first. He makes a power attack throw, beats the opposed strength check, and he throws the Mongers in front of him into Gorag.
Yeah. So Gorag's not liking the damage from the collateral too much, but at least it's an unboostable 13, so...
Yeah, that's useful. I mean, it doesn't get unyielding because it's collateral, but the guy who's thrown into him does get unyielding because it's still a melee attack.
Yeah, and he goes down.
I boost the damage on that. He dies, no tough check, and then I buy an attack on the guy next to me, and I actually just miss him in melee.
Yeah. So now the unit has Vengeance procced, and Gorag is also in the Rise bubble that provided by Ammok.
Yeah, so I mean, I was hoping to kill 2 of them and maybe get lucky and do a reasonable amount of damage to Gorag. Actually, I do okay damage to him. Like it's dice -3, I think, on the damage roll.
Yeah.
So if I roll just a crazy spike, he dies, but probably he lives and has fewer boxes to handle. Mm-hmm. He's base 8 boxes, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a UA on a medium base unit, on a 5-box type unit.
Yeah, so he's durable.
A Scaldy or a...
Tharn Ravager Chieftain?
Maybe. Probably not.
So Ghetorix is going in on the Blightbringer here.
Yeah, so this is a weird situation. It's kind of exciting. I go in and I'm feeded on, so I'm power strength 23 with Primal.
Yeah.
I hit pretty effortlessly on the charge attack, and I've got like 4 boxes on me right now. Yeah. And then Craig's like, oh yeah, I'll just spray you with this POW 10. I'm like, POW 10, arm 19, whatever, and he rolls a 10. I'm like, ugh.
And pokes out the body.
Takes out body. So, Ghetorix will force to regenerate because he's a Warpwolf. He'll heal for 2, will heal 1 more in the body. So now I've got 2 in body, 2 in spirit. And I'm like, all right, I'll hit you again. What are the odds you roll another 10? Like, that's not super likely. And even then, it's probably fine to be out of my mind. He puts his bite attack into the Chosen, who, takes a bunch of damage, but is ultimately fine. And then he buys an attack into the Blightbringer. Again, dice +4.
Yeah.
Nice, good damage chunk. Does a ton of damage to the Blightbringer, who then hits him back and does another 1 point.
Yeah.
Roll another 10.
To the 4.
That's not ideal. So nothing is out. But I'm in a really awkward spot here because I really want Primal for damage. But if he cripples something, it's a big problem for me. So I opt for the play it safe angle, which is maybe too silly. And I cast Spiny Growth on him. He still has to Frenzy automatically, but he loses the +2 damage from Primal. And I buy an attack. I hit. Now we're at dice +2, but damage -11. I do another good chunk of damage to him. By my final attack, no damage in rebuttal. Ghetorix hits the final attack. Dice +2. He does a solid roll. I think I do another 11 points of damage to him.
Yeah.
He's on what, 8 boxes? 10?
Yeah. So the 2 Fury you spent would have easily killed him.
Yeah. So the Animus really cost me there more than I would have liked it to. I also maybe would have killed that Chosen if I hadn't have had to do that. Or if I just maybe kind of done the math a little bit more aggressively early and had Kromac spend a couple to heal him or something. I was clearly a little bit more aggressive than I needed to be. Stalker charges in. Stalker's going to finish this guy. Power strength 20, even without Primal. I'm good to go.
Almost automatic.
Yeah, kills him, and then he'll make his claw attack into the Chosen. Chosen is armor down to 19 now that the Blightbringer's dead.
Yeah.
So
it's like a +1 at this point.
Yeah. Does a good chunk of damage. Forces a tough check. I buy on him, and he dies as he's knocked down. Yeah. Stalker casts Sprint and just kind of runs away.
You want to sort of keep that Sprint Animus up available for Kromac to use later on?
Well, I mean, it's good. I think it also maybe buys me a heavy. I just spacing the board out a little bit better is a safer line of play. I end up doing the Pureblood next. The Pureblood's going to toad just into the zone, stay out of the melee range of these 2 Helmuth tentacles, and it's going to put a spray in. This is going to be a spray that hits 4 ogres, which is good. I'm in Kromac's control. I'm getting the +2 armor bonus. That's all useful. The Pureblood is more softened up than I would have liked him to be. He's on 18 boxes.
Yeah, he took a couple good spears.
Yeah. But, 2 can play at that game. He's going to boost hit the Chieftain, and he's going to roll to hit the remaining 3. So I need 7s here, which is not ideal. But if I can kill the Chieftain, I take the prey bonus off the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then my defense starts mattering. Hit the Chieftain. I just raw roll hits against 2 of them, and I miss 1 of them, which is a little better than the 50% I was expecting. We'll boost damage on all 3 of the guys that I hit. On the Chieftain, we chunk him out. He fails his tough check. Only guy behind him, we kill him, and he gets tough check. And then he makes that tough check. The last guy, we roll damage on, and he gets a tough check as well. It's 16 against 14, so it's dice -2. He dies pretty readily.
Yeah. So at this point, Vengeance is now procced on both units that are forward, basically. I'm sorry. Yeah, so we just promote the leader unit back there. And, yeah. Just doing some bookkeeping on the back of my table edge here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty solid here.
Getting rid of that prey bonus was a big deal. It kept that Pureblood on the table.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Sure did. The prey bonus is I think one of the secrets to the damage output of the spears. And I mean they've already actually gotten a ton of work out of that bonus, so I mean forcing me to commit a piece there to do that amount of damage to them is a big deal.
Yeah, so you move the stones up to sort of block angles and keep things in teleport zone range.
Also just to be Serenity in
Yeah.
a couple of places to help me with the Fury management. I'm running a little hot this turn.
It's fair.
So we
And the
move
bird
back.
Yep.
Yeah, so I create a circle for the Stalker too. Both the Feral and the Stalker are both in Stone Circle right now. The ones at the back, nobody's in there because, of course, they ported Kromac up this turn.
Yep. So the bird is now killed the tentacle, so I'm like, can I get another bird? I'm wondering. At this point, I lost the Blightbringer, which isn't great, but board situation isn't terrible for me at this point. Like, it cost a decent amount of resources in order to get that bird, or to get the Blightbringer. Get the Blightbringer.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I can make lemonade with this. So just looking at angles here, I think this is definitely gonna be feat turn, because if I let this go for a bit longer, I sure don't have any pieces left. So we're just gonna do some vengeance moves to move things around a bit more. Gonna try to get an angle on that stalker there. See, maybe get a couple pieces on it. If I can remove Ghetorix without trying very hard, then that's going to be a big deal for me. That's an option here. The bird is actually 3 inches into the forest, so he can see out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly. So more importantly, he now has line of sight to Gorag.
Yeah, well, I mean the bird can see out of forests anyway, but Gorag being up there is not ideal. Gorag, of course, rose with the Ammok bonus, so he's ready to make vengeance attacks, which I think you punch the goat once or something like that.
Yeah, I figure I should probably just do a bit of damage to the goat. I don't want to run the risk of potentially having the bird dodge.
Yeah, the goat's a Cator Jack this turn, which is kind of cute. Like, he's 12-20, which is actually better than a Cator Jack. But in general, I've got decent armor on pieces against the list that has really decent armor cracking. So I think the feat for me is mostly about damage output. And I got the Blightbringer, which helps a lot. I mean, that turns a lot of pieces on. And hopefully it means that I don't lose so much this turn that I'm not in a position where Kromac can start to roll the table in the late game.
Mm-hmm.
Worth noting at this point, of course, is that Craig is pretty far down on clock. I'd say like we're dealing with a 20-minute differential now.
Yeah.
Which means clock might end up being a win condition for me. It's certainly not something I'm kind of pressuring for or trying to play for especially, but it's present, and I think giving him more complicated decisions on a turn-by-turn basis could be a useful way to play this.
So here I think that Ammok can try to unbind the Spiny Growth Animus, but I find out that he does not actually clear Animi with his unbinding.
Yeah. We rapidly determined that Animi are not removed, and I was like, oh god, if you do D3 damage to him, that's most of his health. And then you're like, oh no, it's only upkeeps.
Yeah.
Does he still have Vengeful? And I'm like, no, I didn't upkeep anything. So we're set. Ammok just moves up to contest the zone, which is honestly not a terrible spot for him this turn. He's one of those luxury pieces that like I'd like to kill Ammok, but I really can't afford to kill Ammok. Like normally I have to kill like a business model in your list.
Yeah, given that you have you have to commit a heavy to him probably
Yep.
at this point. So we're just going to look at what he can do here. I need to get him out of the way before anything else happens. So I do have the Warspear Chieftain, or the Warspear War Chief, who can sort of go in and potentially clear off Ghetorix. Mm-hmm. So that might be a good option here.
I think at one point you consider Hex Blasting Ghetorix to just kill him.
Yeah, but I'm like, that's probably not likely. I need a boosted 10, which isn't fantastically...
Boosted 10 followed by boosted 8, so...
Yeah.
It's within the realm of possibility, but it's probably not worth playing the whole turnaround.
Yeah, that cost me a good 5 Fury to do so it's not worth what would otherwise be 2 Fury Strength.
Yeah. Because Fury Strength is a really good spell.
Yeah, so I'm looking at angles here. Figure I need to move that Hellmouth in order to get a couple guys onto the Stalker in order to get him out of the picture, which I think is going to be the plan here. The plan here is get rid of the Griffin, get rid of the Satyr, and get rid of the Stalker is my ideal turn. Ghetorix has to die, but he's in front of me in 4 boxes, so like I'm going to take that as a given.
And he's armed 21 right now.
It's true,
but like it's not like Anamag can't fix that.
Yeah.
I'm like 4-point armor swing, and you're like cute 6-point armor swing.
So Anamag walks up. She's going to toss out a Fury Strength on the the one Warmonger unit. Toss out a Fury Strength on the large Warmonger unit, and toss out a Feat and also a Carnage.
+2 damage, +2 damage, +2 to hit, +2 damage. Let's go.
So I'm on 1 Fury, but also no beasts, so the Fury is mostly decorative.
Yeah, it's the old decorative Fury. So we charge with this Chieftain here, and Matt Bazillion, he hits. I I think he rolls a 3 here and hits anyway or something absurd because he's mat 12.
Yeah, at this point he's effectively mat 12, so I need to not snakes Ghetorix. So I do manage to roll the 5-ish damage I need to kill him. So
Yep.
just take him off the board, and now we're going to move on to the bird situation here. So I need like a 5 now in order to hit the bird because of the Gorag.
Yeah, you've debuffed its defense, and you've got +2 to hit, so you're mat 8, needing a 5.
Yep, so the bird goes on a journey.
Bird goes on a wonderful magical journey. It is still in Kromac's range for the feat, so it's arm 15.
Yeah.
But it's also still in line of sight of Gorag, so it's got a lovely defense penalty here. It's not dodging anytime soon.
Yeah, so at this point I'm just going to essentially keep gripping the bird with my 2 remaining tentacles, and also the Maw itself gets to make an initial attack.
Yeah, so you're going to get 3 tentacle attacks that are at dice pow 12, dice -3. So that does about an average of 12 damage. Then you get 4 Maw attacks that are dice +2.
Yeah, so
and they're going to do a lot of damage. So I don't get to dodge away at any point here, and the bird dies.
So my insurance policy of that top unit of Warmongers isn't going to be super necessary.
Yeah, I mean, if any one of them misses, you'll be glad you have it, but they're gone.
So at this point I just want to kill that druid with whatever I can kill that druid with. I do. And then here I'm actually going to debate on a line of play here of pulling the Pureblood actually out of Kromac's control area. He's fully loaded, so that would not be a great look for him if I can get that done. He'll be in the middle of the zone, so I'm not going to be scoring that zone anytime soon, but he will definitely require a bit of effort to remove at that point.
What makes you decide not to do that?
I saw my clock, and I realized that the actual prize here is going to be the Stalker. The Pureblood is annoying, but at that point I don't think it's the call, and I figure in the effort of just sort of getting things done and getting damage done on the clock, or getting work done on the clock, I just want to go after the Stalker instead.
Okay.
Because I want to get Sprint off the table.
Yeah, Sprint obviously dramatically increases Kromac's personal threat and mobility. It means he can go out, do a bunch of work in his zone, and then kind of come back centrally, so his battle group stays in his control. So I think that's probably the right call. You ignore the Pureblood, and you charge there. Wraithbane's not a huge deal to you, so
yeah,
like having access to Blessed is not super important when you've got a +2 arm buff that you're not even really recasting.
Yeah.
So 2 assault spear shots, 1 charge attack.
Yeah.
You do a ton of damage. The Chosen also hits. Again, defense 14, 16 over the obstruction, and you're only mat 10 with 3 dice to hit.
Yeah. So like it probably just happens.
Yeah, so you hit the Stalker. You end up leaving it alive on 1 box.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate, but it's grievously wounded, so it won't be doing a whole ton next turn.
Yeah, the 1 box is in Spirit, so it has 1 die to hit, 1 die for damage, but it can buy and boost.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, sort of. For certain values of nice.
So here I'm going to wail on that goat. There's enough attacks on this goat at POW 20 that or POW 18 rather, sorry, it lost the Blightbringer.
Dice -2.
Yeah. So it should basically fold after the 2nd or 3rd attack.
It had 18 boxes left when you went in on it, and you do dice -2, so yeah, it should take 2 or 3 attacks. And that's about right. That's exactly what happens. And then I think an ogre berserks onto Gorag and doesn't kill him.
Yeah, because I figured Gorag's the one to soak the damage here because he's the highest armor. Ogres aren't actually good at berserking and killing each other.
Yeah, they don't get the benefits of Carnage. They don't get the benefits of Dark Shroud. They don't they get the Vet Leader, but that guy happened to be out of the Vet Leader range. So they're like, we need 6s to hit, and they do get unyielding. And if they happen to have the Blightbringer aura, they usually also have it for armor. So they're actually remarkably bad at killing each other. Don't tell Ammok, he loves to kill things.
So I'm just moving the other unit up because I'm like, well, I didn't need Fury Strength this turn, so I guess I'll just position for the inevitable stone teleporting into my zone.
You score a point here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty big. You're up a point, and I have to make a rebuttal turn here, and my feat's gone. And while the Blightbringer's dead, it doesn't look great for me here. I end up reaving. We Serenity off a Fury from the Stalker, and we make a threshold test. The Stalker is on 1 Fury, and it passes its threshold. So we're all good. Kromac's on 7, nothing to upkeep. I'm also on 2 corpses, so I might end up using those this turn, so that could come up. Yeah, lots of stuff to kill. Lots of challenges ahead of me. So let's see how Kromac can handle this. The problem is I still don't have a great way to kill Hellmouths, and short of just like getting a heavy in there, which I have not been able to do yet, like that Pureblood in the bottom zone won't be able to do much of anything to the Hellmouth. I mean, he could warp Ghostly and he could walk around ignoring free strikes and get a spray on it, and spray doing another power 14, boosting damage at dice -4. I kill it if I roll exactly boxcars, which is maybe not the basis for a plan. Maybe it's more like the basis for a hope. So that's not what I end up deciding to do here. I look at a couple of different possibilities. If I want the Feral to cast Primal on the Stalker, which I do, because I really want the Stalker to be able to like maybe kill a Chosen with some bot attacks, just like, you know, go to mat 8, need 4s to hit, try to roll for some 50-50s with only 1 die to hit against the models that it's engaging. If I want that, I have to basically give him Primal, and that means the Feral has to warp for speed. So the Feral warps for speed. It makes up to 3 attacks against this Ogre. It's dice -3, I think, or dice -2. Yeah, because he's POW 14 and your arm's 16 on a War Spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so dice -2. He kills the War Spear. Again, we talked a little bit about the fragility of War Spears. One of the things they don't have is unyielding, so that does chunk one. The Stalker advances, moves into position. He warps for strength, just tries to roll the 1 die 4 with the claw. Then he makes the attack with the sword. He boosts damage with the sword, goes up to POW 20, combination of primal and warping strength. Dice +1, you don't make the tough roll. He buys an attack, looking for a hard 4. Takes a couple of cracks at it.
Doesn't quite make it, but that's fine.
That's okay. He killed the Chosen, which is sort of what it was key that he do. The Pureblood warps Ghostly, walks out of engagement range of the tentacles, and it makes a spray. It tries to hit a couple of the War Spear models, and it hits both of them. Boost damage, kills the one who had multiple boxes and the one who toughed the previous round. I don't boost damage, and I do kill it. And then he forces to regenerate, and he heals for 3. Because he didn't get hit by anybody last turn. So he's out of the zone and on full fury, but he's bumping his boxes back up gradually, and he's killing War Spears. I've got a stone in that unit contesting it, 2 of them actually. So I'm contesting lightly in the places where I have to, and I'm trying to do attrition work here. Kromac charges. He does not charge Rotten Eye because Rotten Eye doesn't have a ton of boxes left. I'm going to try to kill him with an attack. He charges, and, Wrathrock has Grievous, is POW 17, just kills a guy, collects a corpse, uses it to buy an attack, makes an attack with a corpse, does not kill the guy, misses an attack, buys again with a corpse, kills him, collects a corpse, buys an attack with it, hits another guy, kills him, buys an attack with that corpse, hits that guy, and kills. That's all of them. There's one left over there, but he's out of my melee range. Kromac's on 1 corpse, and he's still on, 6 Fury. So I decide to Primal Shock. We're going to go ahead and Primal Shock through the Feral into the guy engaging the Stalker. So I do some math a couple of different ways, and I decide to not boost. Just lands the hard 16 and boost damage on him. That is actually no damage, because only POW 11 on the Feral's base strength. So I cast sprint back. I'm camping a couple, and I've got a corpse token. The stone's port. Get into a position where they're contesting the zone. And it's back over to Craig. So you're going a little frantically here, Craig.
Yeah, so I realize I'm down super low on clock, which is about to matter because I wind up clocking very early in this turn. Vengeance forward, and yeah, at this point, just trying to get as much done as I can. I can potentially score this zone if I can get rid of the rock up at the top zone. I don't have a lot of great answers to the bottom zone here, so I wind up spending a bunch of time sort of looking at the best way to play through that one.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 stones there. If you can kill both of them, it's a little bit of an ask.
Yeah.
So you charge in with the Chieftain. Chieftain charges in against the 1-box Stalker, and Matt 10, he rolls to hit and hits, kills the Stalker.
Berserks onto the rock.
Doesn't reave any fury. Berserks into the rock, dice -4, kills the rock, which is actually super solid. We promote to the model in the middle of the zone.
Yep, and then
You charge
Yep.
1 Warmonger in on the objective.
yeah, the spear goes on the objective.
Sorry, spear.
Yeah.
So he gets an assault shot. So versus a Warmonger, he actually does more damage this round.
Yeah.
And then you get another Warmonger charge, and he kills the objective.
Yeah.
So you're up a point now, and then you make a couple of attacks on this stone. These guys are dice -8, so little bit bold to get.
Yeah.
You send tentacle unit in on the top zone, and that's the moment where you clock.
Yeah.
So that's basically us. Couple of things that maybe if the game had gone a little longer, we might have been able to see. One of the things we've talked about before in the cast is that just technical lists with lots of elements, lots of decision points, and many powerful vectors, plus force multipliers like the Feat, like Carnage. Sometimes it takes time to make those decisions. I mean, Haley 3 is another example of it. Like, she's got all the tools in the world. You just have to make those decisions. So I think probably like you're what, a half dozen games into the list now, Craig, or
Yeah.
10 or 12, something like that.
Give me another 5 and I'll stop clocking.
Yeah, well, and I mean, will you ever stop clocking? Probably not. I mean, with a list like this, it's always a possibility, but definitely getting more efficient, getting quicker. I think the matchup is stronger for you.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, that's us for the week. Let us know what you think. Obviously, I think this list, the one that I played today, benefits significantly from the proposed CID changes, including Pathfinder and the bonus to Ghetorix. However, it's still fundamentally playing a beast brick into a really hard-hitting melee army. So it's a tricky matchup, and I think it's one that I'm going to test around a little bit more. Keep playing some more Kromac2. I think he's an absolute riot.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on the cast, Tim.
Yeah, no worries, and we'll see you folks next week.